Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. I would like to welcome you to this week's IW session. My name is Jamie Cummings, and I'm a trainer here with Trivanus. To start off, I would like to go over some housekeeping items. This session should last around 40 to 45 minutes, and we'll spend some time at the end of the presentation for any Q&A you may have. If you notice upon login that everyone's audio is placed on mute, this is just due to the large amount of attendees and so that we do not have any background noise distracting us. Now, if you do have any questions throughout the presentation, my colleague Gina White is on the phone as well, and she will actually be responding to the questions that you might post within that GoToMeeting questions panel. If for some reason Gina is unable to answer those questions or she just doesn't have enough time to answer the questions, I will leave some extra time at the end of the presentation to go over them. Also, I will be recording this session and it will be placed out on the Lectora University on our website by early next week. Now, for this particular session, you're going to be learning about best practices for utilizing the PowerPoint import tool and how to utilize social web objects in Lectora version 11. Now, by including the PowerPoint tool in version 11, we've made it even easier for you to integrate and take advantage of pre-existing content. So you can easily import PowerPoint presentations into your Lectora titles to create more interactive and engaging e-learning content. Now, in version 11, you can also make your titles more relevant by integrating some of the many new social web objects. So you can engage learners via Facebook, Twitter, and much more. Now, during this session, I will be going back and forth between my title that I'll be presenting and also a Lectora title to show you firsthand how to use these features and how user-friendly they are. So with all this said, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that I want to talk about are the benefits of the PowerPoint integrator. So if you take a look at the list, let's talk about why you would want to use the integrator. Well, the first point that I want to make is that you can storyboard your content within PowerPoint, and this is a huge time saver. So you can create your outline and provide and gather all of the images that you need for your course content. And once you pull it into Lectora, all you have to focus on is now the interactivity, adding in media components, test and survey questions. Maybe you want to create actions to make it more interactive. Also, PowerPoint allows you to have content approved and reviewed via your subject matter expert. The best part is that subject matter expert does not need to have a license of Lectora. So once again, once the content's approved, you can import the content through the integrator process. Also, all of your instructor notes from PowerPoint are translated into Lectora notes. So we're all familiar with the instructor notes that PowerPoint allows us to use at the bottom of each slide. Well, those notes will transfer over into Lectora notes, which will just keep you organized. So whether it be from yourself when you're creating your content in PowerPoint or from your subject matter expert, those will transfer over. And the nice thing is that you can run a note report and see where all those notes are located once the content has been integrated into Lectora. Last but not least, any pre-existing course content can be transferred over into Lectora. So any pre-existing PowerPoint presentations that you have can be transferred by a click of a button into an online e-learning course. Once again, you can make it interactive by adding in those test and survey questions and then publish it out to a variety of formats, including HTML or uploading it to your learning management system. So now let's go ahead and spend a few minutes focusing on the process of how to upload a PowerPoint presentation using the integrator. Now, you'll notice here that you have two options when importing PowerPoint. You can import from the Getting Started screen, or you can select the import option from the Tools ribbon. Now, once you select either one of these two options, it simply walks you through a step-by-step process. So you can see by the screenshots that I've created for you, this Getting Started screen provides you with all kinds of options. But right in the center left side, you have that option to import PowerPoint, or if you've already created content in Lectora and you just want to pull in some information from the PowerPoint slides, you can do it in an existing course in Lectora using your Tools tab, and within that ribbon, choose to import from PowerPoint. So once you select either one of these two options, it takes you through two simple steps. Step number one, the first thing is going to be when importing in that PowerPoint is to locate your PowerPoint from your computer. Well, that seems pretty simple. It's a very simple procedure to follow. First, you're going to want to select the folder icon that's right next to that file to import option, and then locate your file via the pop-up on your PC and select open. So once again, very simple process. From there, step number two, it's going to be three different items. First one, save your title to a location on your local hard drive. The second one, customize your import options. And these options are going to include title size, transitions, and image type. Now, in regards to the title size, you're going to want to make sure that you know this in advance. So if you're going to be creating content in Lectora that's an 800 by 600 course or 1024 by 768 screen size, maybe you're going to do a custom size. Either way, you want to know this in advance and then transfer over your content from PowerPoint. Now, there might be a little bit of reformatting. Everything may not transfer over perfectly, but you will have all of your text and images to work with and modify. The last bullet point in the customize options is going to be image type. So you can choose from three different options that are provided: JPEG, PNG, and GIF images. I would definitely recommend PNG images just in case you have any transparency attached to the images that you're pulling in. This is personal preference, but you have the options to select from. And then from this menu, you'll simply select finish, and then it finishes up that import process. So once your PowerPoint presentation has been added into Lectora, the content has been broken down into individual pages and objects, so text and images. And all that content can be modified with Lectora's various features. Once again, you can come in and add additional navigation, additional objects. Maybe you need to edit the text. You can add media, testing and survey components, etc. Now, I do want to make this clear that when you're pulling anything over from the PowerPoint integrator, only text and graphics come in. So if you had video within PowerPoint, what will happen once it shows up in Lectora? It will provide you an image placeholder of where that video was. So all media components have to be brought in separately into Lectora. So it's just going to be text and graphics. So now what I want to do is try this process out on our own. So let me go ahead and go into Lectora just real quick. And once again, I'm just starting off on that Getting Started screen. So here I can simply select the Import PowerPoint option. As soon as I do so, my options come up. It automatically defaults to the PowerPoint selection. Here on the right-hand side, I can click on the file that I want to import in. So simply selecting that folder icon. As soon as I do so, this is going to have me locate anything that I have saved out on my computer. So this automatically defaulted to the location of where my PowerPoint resides. So I can go ahead, select that PowerPoint, simply choose to open, and once I click OK, it provides me with my options. First things first, I can choose a name and location of this PowerPoint. So if I want to go ahead and rename this, I'm going to go ahead and add something on here, I can do so. I can choose a new title location. So I can go ahead and create a folder anywhere on my computer. And as soon as I click OK and click on Next, that's where you have those additional PowerPoint options to work with. So first things first, you have your title size options. You can see you can customize and specify a custom size that you're working with. You can come in and choose any of the predefined selections that are available. Once again, you're going to want to know this information up front of what your course content is going to be sized in within Lectora. Now you also have options for transitions. My recommendation, just by using this, is always to do no transitions. And if you're not familiar with transitions, these are those transitions that you can place on objects and pages. Have your objects dissolve onto the page, or have the image fly from the right on the page. Those kind of transitions. The nice thing is that you can do these transitions within Lectora, and that would be my recommendation. And then last but not least, you have your image format. Once again, personal preference here, but I always keep it on ping images just in case there is any transparency assigned to my graphics. When all said and done, I click on Finish. It's going to generate all those slides and then import that content right into Lectora. Now, let me talk about this a little bit further. So over in your Title Explorer, you'll now notice that everything's broken down kind of slide by slide. Now, I can come in here and modify anything that's needed. So if I need to edit text, I can do so. I can go ahead and change anything that was brought in from that original PowerPoint presentation. But as mentioned, the only thing that will kind of get transferred over are going to be text and images from that PowerPoint tool. So kind of keep that in mind. Now, I also want to point out that if you have any notes within PowerPoint, and let me actually open up this PowerPoint that I just imported in. So if you add any notes at the bottom of each slide, these will get transferred over into Lectora notes. So these can be notes that you've added into your content, or these can be notes that were given to you from your reviewer or subject matter expert that will get transferred over. So what's the benefit of this? Well, these notes will literally show up as a note icon on each individual slide that had an instructor note. At any time, I can double click and preview that note to see exactly what it entails. Now, the nice thing is from the actual tools ribbon, I can come in and run a note report. Now, I would recommend doing this first thing just to kind of see all the notes that have been included within this one project. That way you can print out the content and then just kind of know exactly where to focus on if any changes need to be made to documentation or any of the graphics within your course. So it's just a great way to stay organized. But just keep in mind that those do transfer over from that PowerPoint integrator. Now, I also want to point out to you that from that tools ribbon, you can import directly from PowerPoint as well. As soon as you go through this process, and I'm just going to open up something here, so ignore everything that I have on my desktop right now, but I'm just going to pull in the exact same thing. But if you do it from the tools ribbon, now you'll notice you can actually pick and choose between the individual slides that you want imported in. So let's say I just want slide 1 and slide 3. I can select those two, select next. I have those same options to work with as I did earlier. So as soon as I have everything customized and I click on finish, it generates those slides, but this time it puts it into its own separate chapter for your PowerPoint slides. So once again, if you are working off an existing course within Lectora, you could bring these in separately and then modify that content as needed. So it breaks it down the exact same way. To add on to that, if you add any additional pages, it will carry over anything that you had inherited from that title level or the master slide in PowerPoint. So borders, any type of navigation, those kind of things will be placed on every single page that you create and add on to within this particular project. So, very simple process. Okay, now let's go ahead. I'm going to jump back to my overview. And what I want to focus on next is working with social media. Now, what can social media do for you within your online learning? And what I want to show you is how easy it is to implement within Lectora. So social media has become an essential part of almost everybody's lives. So from checking Facebook and Twitter to posting blogs, going out to Pinterest, and uploading YouTube videos. So if you think about this, with smartphones and tablet devices making it easier than ever to spend time on social media networks, in what ways can these networks actually be leveraged to engage and build a foundation for future student learning? Now, keep in mind, the potential of distraction is obviously there, but the right social media teaching strategies can lead to creative learning. You can add a productive approach to making social media part of just an ongoing professional development. Now, most of us have Facebook accounts and collaborate with friends, family, and colleagues through this media. We also use tools such as Twitter, LinkedIn, and other social media. So in a lot of cases, we are using internal corporate social media tools to collaborate. So let's think about this a little bit further. Many of us have considered probably using these types of tools for collaboration in a training environment. And honestly, as a trainer, I've been thinking about this question a lot. So this includes talking with other learning professionals about how they are making social media work in a learning environment. And these are just a few things that have come to my mind as I think about applying social media to development. The first one, encourage collaboration among learners who are geographically separated but experiencing the same training. So let's just say you have one group of learners in one region going through a 4-week new hire program. But you also have another group going through the same 4-week program in another region at that same time. So what a great way for those learners going through the same training to connect region to region and share their learnings with each other. Well, let's talk about number 2 here. So share the real world learnings with each other after the training is complete. Excuse me. So going along with that same metaphor, that 4-week session has ended and the learners have now started their assignments. So what a great way for them to collaborate and discuss the informal learning that is taking place on the job. So another suggestion is to have an instructor, a supervisor, or maybe another mentor create a blog with a daily or weekly question to be posed to them. You can create an alumni group, so you can implement an online collaboration site for anyone who has gone through the learning event to share their experiences. And this would gather both new and seasoned employees to share their tactic knowledge with each other. Now keep in mind, all of this can apply to either instructor-led or online learning. So why not plan for social collaboration within your instructional design? And the 4th bullet point I have on here is consider a collaboration site for anyone going through an e-learning course to discuss the learning. Well, releasing an e-learning course in conjunction with a collaboration site would be a great opportunity for subject matter experts to share information with learners that are going through the course and for participants to share how they will apply what they have learned to their job. So, something to consider. What tools can now be used for this collaboration? Well, that's where Lectora comes into play. So many companies are deploying their own internal social media sites or corporate-friendly tools. Many are using Microsoft SharePoint, Maybe some of you have created or used content on Yammer. But as an example, SharePoint includes discussion threads, blogs, or you can use other similar collaboration tools. Now, I would definitely recommend checking with your IT department to see what tools and guidelines may already be available to you for collaboration within your firewall. Now, what are the benefits of using social media? Well, users make connections with like-minded people with whom they can communicate and share their ideas, their resources, and experiences. Instructors and curriculum developers can share resources more easily and together build their learning object repositories. Multimedia and expanded resources from the network can enhance the traditional classroom experience. Online synchronous tools create a new kind of cyber classroom, connecting distance learners from many locals, so in peer-to-peer engagement. And last but not least, online self-paced tutorials create interactive learning experiences that are accessible, basically anytime, on demand, when a learner is ready. So the question I have for you guys is, how are you using social media within training in your organization? Well, in Lectora version 11, you have multiple options to implement social learning into your development, and we've made this process extremely user-friendly. So what I first want to do is just take a look at some samples just to get you some ideas flowing, and then let's see how easy it is to implement into Lectora. Now you're going to notice the 4 features that I'm going to focus on are going to be web windows, social objects, RSS feeds, and QR code generators. All 4 of these features can be located within your insert ribbon, kind of towards the right end of that ribbon. So where it says Add Web Objects, and the QR code is found within that Add More section. So let's first start talking about web windows. So you can add a web window to allow users to view external or live web resources within a title. Once again, you have a variety of choices to select from. These are going to include local web-based content, a web address, page and title, Google Map location, Wikipedia entry, or even a Google document. Now, in regards to that local web-based content, you can select an external HTML file path to provide to users. So, let me translate that. This would mean that you could actually create content to be displayed to the user. So an idea would be to show the user maybe a preview to the next course upon completion. So if they actually pass one course, you can add in this web window and say basically this is what's to come. Web address. You can add any website that's not blocked and once again provide a preview to that user. A page and a title. You can provide user with the resource page and a title for a knowledge check question. Google Maps location. Just an example would be locations of different office locations, maybe around the US. Wikipedia entry. You can enter in any topic to search for on Wikipedia. And a Google document. You can access any document from Google Drive. All you need to do is provide the URL. So as an example, maybe you want to provide the user an example template of a Word document that gets sent out to new clients or to new trainers. You can definitely provide that information using that web window. Now, one little tip that I do want to provide to you is that to view a web window, your content must be published to HTML. Now, keep in mind, you can definitely test this out within the preview and browser option. So let's just kind of jump into this a little bit further. I'm going to actually open up Lectora, and I just have a blank sample page that I'm going to use to add in this web window. I'm already on the insert ribbon, so I'm just going to access from the Add Web Object section to Add Web Window. As soon as you do so, you're provided with all of your window sources that you can have access to. So let's say that we want to actually provide access to a web address. I'm just going to put in my company's website. You can preview this in advance. This may take a couple of seconds to just open up down below. And then as soon as you place that content within that field that's provided and click OK, Lectora is going to provide you with a placeholder of that content. Now, you can definitely resize this window just so it can cover a specific area of your workspace. So you can definitely work with that, but keep in mind, if I go into preview mode, it's still going to show me just that placeholder. So if you remember from what I said before, you want to make sure that you preview this within a browser. So any browser that's installed on your PC can be recognized, and then you can see it will recognize the content that was placed within that web window setting, and then it's also going to size it to whatever I resize that placeholder to. So very simple process. So the user can actually navigate through this content. They can actually select items within the actual web window itself, so you can see how interactive it is once it actually does open up. Okay, let's go ahead and go back to our overview. And the next thing that I want to focus on are RSS feeds. Now you can add an RSS feed to your title to provide users with the latest news, tech trends, or just quick knowledge. You can also define a custom feed not found within the list of the predefined options. Now you'll notice from the screenshot the popular RSS feeds that are available to use, such as CNN, New York Times, Yahoo News, and many more. Now, when you select the option to do a custom RSS feed, you have to provide the URL for the feed that you want to recognize. So if you have someone that created your website, you might see an RSS feed out there that your developer has created. This is just providing, up-to-date news maybe for the company. Well, you can get that URL from that developer, place it right into your Lectora content. So you can see just by sitting on this page how this RSS feed is actually updating with up-to-date news from Yahoo. Now, another little tip that I want to provide you is that to view an RSS feed, your content must be hosted or published to a learning management system. Now, I don't want to confuse you here. So you can have this hosted out on a network drive, or you can publish out to your learning management system, so publishing to AICC or SCORM. Now, you may or may not have noticed yet, but I'm actually in Review Link, viewing this course content that I'm showing to you today. Review Link is a hosted site. It's hosted by Trivanis. Everyone has access to it, so you can actually test out your social objects that you create within Review Link to make sure that everything is working correctly. So let's go ahead, jump back into Lectora. I'm just going to go to a sample page for my RSS feed. From my insert ribbon, I'm going to go to my drop down for RSS feed. You'll notice you have all of these predefined RSS feeds that are already built for you. So if I select Yahoo News, it's going to provide me with a placeholder once again. If I choose CNN News, it's going to be the same placeholder that you see on the page. So they're always going to look the same with this Thomas Edison placeholder. Now, with that said, I cannot go into preview to test this out. It's still going to give me the same thing. I cannot just preview this in a browser. It's still going to provide me with what you currently see. Now, I just want to mention this, but from your home ribbon, where you have all your publishing options. If you're not familiar with it, Review Link is that first process that you can run through. This Review Link feature allows you to host your content on Review Link. Trivanus is hosting it, and then you can actually go out to that site and view the content that you've created. So that's currently what I'm in when I'm actually showing you everything. So let me actually go back to that Review Link launcher, and this is what you would be seeing. So you could test out everything and make sure that it's functioning correctly. Okay, now let's go ahead and talk about social objects, Facebook, Twitter. So another option in version 11 is to add several components from today's popular social media outlets, such as Facebook's like button and the Twitter feed widget. You can add these buttons and widgets to popularize your titles and drive traffic to your content. Now, when you add social objects, such as Facebook or Twitter, what happens is the user will click the like button or the tweet icon, and it will check to see if they are logged into their Facebook or Twitter account. If not, they can always log in. Now, once they actually like the content using Facebook, the course will show up on their Facebook wall. And if it's in Twitter, then a live feed can be displayed on the course where the feedback will be displayed from the end user. Now, as soon as I select tweet here, you'll notice it's going to have me actually check to see if I'm logged into Twitter. It's actually going to make me log in here. I was logged in earlier, so it's putting me to the test. So bear with me for 1 second, hoping I remember my login information. There it goes. So now, if I go to log in again, it said my tweet had been posted and I hadn't actually posted anything. But I can come in and share anything on this tweet. So let me just place this in here. And as soon as I tweet, it's just waiting for Twitter to connect. It's going to automatically post that content, and it should update live over in this Twitter feed over on the right-hand side. Now, this may take a couple of seconds to update. You'll notice there's been 2 tweets. I could try refreshing this page, and then it would update however many tweets have been posted about this particular content. Now, the question is, once again, how do you test this out? So my tip for you, you cannot test it until it's hosted out on a public network or to your learning management system, so publishing to AICC or SCORM. So let's jump back into Lectora, see how easy it is to actually work with these social objects. So going back to my insert ribbon, I'm going to choose my social drop-down menu. I'll use the one that's the most popular to begin with, the like button. Well, it's that simple. You can place that like button anywhere on your course. A lot of people like to place it at the end of their course content to see how many likes they get generated for the overall content. But here's the thing, there's nothing else you have to do. As soon as you put it on your course, it's already pre-programmed. So if I double click on this and go to the properties and I try to edit this Facebook like button, all you're going to see is all the custom HTML that's already programmed for this to work. So my recommendation, don't touch this. So everything's already done for you. Now I can also come in and add just a basic all-in-one share button. So this provides you with everything, the like button, the tweet button, Google+, and then the email share. And then you also have different widgets. So if you want to do a feed widget for Twitter, it's going to make you sign in using your Twitter name, and then that feed will get created onto your page. So keep in mind, all of these are already pre-programmed for you. The biggest thing you have to know is they will not work until your content is hosted. All right, we have one more to discuss, and this one's going to be the QR code generator. So in a web-based course, QR codes can be presented on your pages for easy scanning to access websites via a smartphone or tablet, or to obtain documents stored on a server. So you can obviously link directly to websites with a link for the computer, but the QR code would be available for purposes when the document or site needs to be accessed via a mobile device. So you can use the contents list to select the type of information that you want to embed within the QR code, and then complete the option fields that are associated with that content item. So your options include plain text, web page, email address, text message, contact information, calendar event, phone number, and geographic location. So let's just go through some examples of what you can do with this. I actually built a course not too long ago where I created QR codes throughout the course and made it a scavenger hunt. So the end user had to actually scan this QR code in order to pass the test within the course. So they needed this information. Now, some examples for each of the items listed. For plain text, what you can do here is maybe provide a thank you message or an access code to get into the next training. So only show this if they pass the test. A web page, you can actually provide the user the mobile version of the course that can be downloaded, or maybe you just want to provide them access to any external website. Email address, that one's pretty simple. You maybe want to provide an email address for help, for questions or support. Text message, this one's pretty much the same as plain text. So once again, you can provide that thank you message or that access code. Contact information, you can provide information for the actual trainer that created the content. Calendar event, provide a calendar event for when they have to sign up for their next training. Maybe you want to provide an event for an instructor-led training or a meet with your team event after everyone has completed the online course. Phone number, once again, you can use this to provide contact information for the trainer or support. And then the geographic location, you can provide, where the next training or event will be scheduled. So you can get pretty creative with these QR codes. Now, there's a tip for you here. This course does not need to be published. This course does not need to be set up in a browser to test out these QR codes. All you need is to make sure that your end user has a QR code generator app on their mobile or tablet device. These are free from the App Store. So once you actually have that installed on your mobile device, you can scan this content for information. So with that said, let's go back into Lectora. From that insert ribbon, select QR code, and as soon as you do so, you'll notice from the content drop-down menu all of your options that I just discussed. So if I leave this on web page, I can easily come in here and put in Lectora's website. As soon as I do so, I can preview this in advance. And honestly, guys, this is not going to change too much. All the previews are pretty much going to look the same. But I can click OK. There's my QR code generator. So if anyone on the call actually has a QR code generator on their phone, they can actually scan this right now from their screen. And that's going to provide them access to Lectora.com. Now, I'm going to add one more QR code just to give you an idea. Let's say this time I actually choose a geographic location. Obviously, you can do different types by address, by latitude and longitude. But in the address, I'm just going to put in Cincinnati, Ohio. Once again, I can preview this. As mentioned, nothing's really going to change here, but I can go ahead and place that on my course. And then you guys could scan this for any additional information that's been attached to that QR code. So it's very simple to provide information to your user. The majority of the time that I see this being used is providing them access to scan the QR code to go out to a mobile version of the actual course content. So you can store that content out on a network server. All you need is the URL, and simply back in that QR option in that web page, that's where you would copy and paste the URL. So very simple process. So with all this said, that's pretty much going to be the overview for working with the PowerPoint integrator and also social objects. So what I want you guys to walk away with here is one, knowing how easy it is to import content from PowerPoint, but use PowerPoint to your benefit for storyboarding, for review purposes. Once you have that content created, pull it into Lectora, make it interactive with these social objects, such as QR codes, Facebook like buttons, those web windows, and RSS feeds. Also, make sure that you test everything out within that review link process, and that way you can make sure everything is functioning correctly. So what I want to do is actually open up the floor to you guys for questions. I'm going to double check to see if there's any questions out there that Gina has not answered yet. So just bear with me for 2 seconds here. And it looks like Gina's got the majority of them answered. And it looks like some people actually tested out the QR code and it did work, so that's good to know. One question that I did see in the list that she did not respond to is their Yammer support. We do not support Yammer. It's not one of our products that we use. I just know a lot of companies have been using it for social media, so kind of keep that in mind. Now, down within the chat window, I am going to provide everyone with my contact information. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to email me in regards to today's session, and I will definitely be able to help you out. So if there were questions that were not answered throughout today's presentation, please send them my way, and I'll definitely respond to them as soon as I can. Now, with all that said, I am going to go ahead and wrap up here because it looks like Gina answered all those questions. So thank you, Gina. And thank you to everyone else for joining us today. As you probably already know, Lectora does offer Inspiration Wednesday sessions about twice a month, sometimes 3 times a month. And if you're unable to make the session, keep in mind that everything is recorded. So this will be placed out on our website by the beginning of next week. All of the sessions are archived, so you can definitely view and watch this content at your own pace. Also, use Lectora University for your benefit to access different video tutorials and how-to courses. So once again, I want to thank everyone for their time this afternoon. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to contact me, and I will definitely help you out. So enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.